Hmm. Hello everyone, Mikestedt here from Mikestedt Audio. Another video. This is, like I said, a complete set of videos for today. I'm doing this all in one sitting. So far I've sat here for about 4 or 5 hours. But I'm doing it because I need to get my chops up and I want you guys to learn. So last video, after we did all the drum triggering, pocketing, parallel compression, that took up a lot of our time. The next thing I started doing after that was actually working on trying to clean up the bass and putting them in spots where they work in the time. Like I edited the guitars, make sure the timing works. There's still little parts here that I need to clean up before I want to put the song up online for people to enjoy. As I have the approval from the guitarist and one of the founders of the band, I don't know if I'll put vocals on it because I don't have the approval of the vocalist, but at least you'll have a nice instrumental. But what I'm going to show you is how I ended up fixing the bass guitar, and I didn't fix it completely. The problem is we recorded it DI and he didn't want to wear headphones. I don't remember the real scenario, but I have to make it usable. And I'm going to show you a section. The problem with the bass guitar, it's a lot of like open notes and it follows rhythm like da ba da ba da 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 da, like so. It's a lot of open note and a lot of like flubs going on. So I had to do my absolute best. So I'm gonna play it without it, and you're gonna hear what I have to work with. So a lot of flubs, lots of flubs, and it's pretty low. So I had to compress the hell out of it. So the first thing I did was EQ. I took the shelf high pass, and I got rid of everything under 96 because it was eating up my sub, and I was losing the bass drum completely. Next thing I did was on 5, I just kind of boosted around 150, trying to give it some round tone, some of it, and then something around like, what is it, 5 or 658, I don't know. I cut, and I have wide cues going on just because the smaller cues wasn't doing much. And I did a little, finger plucking around 2K, just a little bit, and I went back and forth between that and my guitar. The best trick to do is have that and the drums playing at the same time, because I wanted to make sure that the bass and the drums don't collide. So this is just with the drums and the EQ. So the bass drum, you guys can't hear it. I have a sub. If you have a subwoofer, you'll probably be able to tell. The kick and the bass aren't fighting that much just because the bass is so low, so that's why I had to cut it. Next thing I did was put a guitar amp on the bass. Let me turn off the drums real quick. I sat here for about 30 minutes fighting, trying to find the right amp. And what we should have done was record an actual bass amp. But this is what I have to do. So I'm not going to mess with the settings too much, but this is what I ended up working with. And it's not bad. It's not amazing, but it works so far. And I'm just going to shove the compressor. I'm not going to make us have any suspense. So this is the bass. This is what I got. Still a little dirty, but the distortion kind of helps distinct like the actual notes and the rhythm, which will help clean it up later, which actually I should do is add a little more drive, kind of makes it a little more punchy. It's just a little too distorted. So that gives us some crunchiness that's going to help us. So that's the bass. There wasn't much I can do, or at least that I know I can do. So I did that, kind of cut some parts and pushed them back. The next thing I did was I just sent all the guitars to a sub. Instead of doing parallel compression, I wanted to do it all at once. So I have nothing on these guitars. All I have is just a compressor and an EQ and some verb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I ended up doing. So I'm going to play that same section with the guitars with just reverb but no EQ or compression. And I'll tell you afterwards what I cut and why. So I'm gonna turn off the bass. I'm gonna play it one more time. One thing I want to check, actually, since we're here, I recorded this as a bundle, so 2 microphones on it. I have a KSM44 and SM57. One thing you should do is put on your trim plugin and flip the phase and see if anything happens, if it's better or worse. So it's worse. Cool, so that means I succeeded on that bundle. I always recommend doing that, especially on drums, overheads. Yeah, it helps a lot. So I'm gonna put the EQ on. I use the VEQ. It took me a little while to understand this one. I don't use it as much, so if I can't explain it, I'm sorry. But this is the high pass, low pass. I have a high pass at 150. I got rid of some of the. Let me see if I can turn it off and off for you. There was some weird woofing going on. I think it was because of the drums. So, because this was in a vocal booth. So I'm gonna play it with it bypassed, and then I'll turn it on. You can hear the difference. Just look at the settings I have and kind of get an idea of what I did. So here. All right, so I'm going to explain something to you real quick. It may sound telephonic and it may sound like crap right now, but I've been reading tons and tons of books. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, a lot of books on live sound and recording and studio. Reason why is because I did get my education, but I felt I was not missing stuff, but I wanted to learn more. I was just hungry. And the reason why I bring that up is because knowledge will help you in the future. Just because you got a degree doesn't mean you're done. You're always learning. You're always mastering your craft. So one thing I learned in one of the books is actually a basic series from Paul White. He's from Sound on Sound. I think he's the chief editor. So check out his basic series. I got them on Amazon for like $7 a piece. Amazing books. They helped me a lot. One thing he taught me was in isolation, the guitars won't sound amazing, but you want to reference them in the mix. I kind of paraphrase. I'm not using his exact words, but the general idea is if you EQ, yes, it's going to sound like crap in isolation, but what you want to do is EQ it inside the mix sometimes and make sure it's what you want and it works with the sound. So with that, I'm actually going to put it inside the mix and everything. And we're going to hear it with these settings. So I'm going to bypass it because you're going to be like, oh, it's going to sound like poop. But here you go. Here's my poop sounding guitars. And I'm actually going to turn it on in a second. So I lose a lot of like this muddy low end, and I think it kind of makes the guitars a little cleaner and it brings out the distortion in the guitar. So it kind of adds the crunch that I wanted. I know the gent is supposed to be a little more clean, but I wanted, some of that southern rock, crunch. So I messed with the settings until I found something I liked. Maybe I might tweak it a little later, who knows. And then I went on to the inevitable and compressed the hell out of it for the most part. So I brought a lot in. I'm keeping the output, and I just use the faders. I always keep my outputs at unity. I never push this up. Just use the faders. Have my ratio at 4:1. I'm not squashing it, so it's not drums. I'm not limiting it, which I probably could. It might bring up some volume. So let me mess with that as we go. And I actually have a de-esser on it. I don't know. I remember reading something that it actually helps with guitar amps and a lot of the hissing that's going on. It's de-essers are for vocals mostly, I think, but could be wrong. but I have it on. So far it sounds pretty cool. Headphones, it does not sound flattering at the moment right now. So I'm going to be using a reference set of speakers soon before I release it. But one thing I can do right now is I can just actually start tweaking the guitar here. So let's listen to it. So I kind of like what's going on right now. So I'm going to move on. The next thing I did was work on the lead guitars. I had a bundle, but I ended up just using the SM57 just because it works. And I did something super simple. I thought it had good tone. I didn't really EQ it as much, but I could mess with it more, but it cuts through. I don't have any vocals right now to work with, like I said, because I don't have approval from that, but I have approval from the music. And I actually wrote most of the drums for this. I didn't play on it, but it's my call. So I'm going to show you just the simple stuff I added. This will be kind of a short video, but you know, this is what everything sounds like. So what I did on here, I'll solo this. Excuse me, sorry. I'll solo the lead guitar and the lead delay. What I ended up doing was I actually panned the lead guitar all the way to my right, but I actually want it a little centered. So I think of this as the stage. Like, here's the singer, here's your left guitar, the bass is always here, so is the drums, and just you play with the panorama of it. So I'm gonna put the lead over here a little bit. That's what I like to think of it as. It's kind of weird, but whatever. And the lead delay, I have that thing coming over here, so it kind of fills the gap from here to there. I'm gonna push it farther. So all I did is center aux, unity, and I'm using Super Tap's analog delay. I literally just went through the presets and I like the analog delay, so I went with it. All I did was I changed the tempo to 110 because it was at 120, but this is what it sounds like isolated. One thing I might want to do is put it on pre, so whenever I adjust the fader, the effect or the send will not be affected by it. So So actually what ended up happening was I have some I have it on touch, so my automation is gonna go crazy. So, but I fixed it right now. One thing I might do actually to kind of let this cut a little more. It's kind of, I don't want to say unethical. I don't even know if I used the word right, but I like to cut all the lows because I want to say all the highs are going to travel farther than the lows in the guitar. And you know what? While we're at it, let's go ahead and just EQ the guitar. I'm going to do a VEQ4, kind of like the guitars over there. And I'm just going to mess with it, and you're going to see the process I go through. So like I said, I'm going to do 150. You know what? Let's keep it simple for today and drag and drop. Oh, cannot. That's what I get. Okay, so like I said, let's just use some presets. I'm gonna go with just guitar. And it's a little bitey. But, like I said, you want to hear it in the mix. So I'm going to do some automation real quick. And I kind of want to automate this for one reason. I like these little tail ends it has. So what I'm going to do is let's mess with it today. And pretty much I just kind of created an atmosphere for the guitars itself. I think that's all I kind of wanted to show for this song. Maybe I might do vocals, but I'm not entirely sure. But I think right now that should be everything. So thank you for watching these videos. Hopefully they helped out. Please leave me feedback. Give me, ask me questions, anything you need. Please leave them in the comment area. If not, you follow me, just text me or whoever. If you know me, go for it. So again, I want to say thank you and have a great day. This is Mikestedt from Mikestedt.